Rick Usher here, the Usher Garage, along with Aaron Crabb, Nowhere Consultants. Happy Digital Inclusion Week. We're in Kansas City, Missouri. Um, our program, we've branded LIDO, is leaning into digital opportunities. We're helping low-income entrepreneurs get access to internet services, devices, and meaningful connectivity to the entrepreneur ecosystem. You want to say a few words about the progress or the project?
Yeah, we've had pretty good traction so far. Spent a good bit of time doing some focus groups, learning about what the ecosystem in Kansas City really looks like, figuring out where these underserved entrepreneurs, where they are, where they live, if you will, where they are in their journey, who they're talking to. And we think that we've really created a um, pretty good platform to help those people find the resources that they need and get them connected and yeah, adequately resourced.
Yeah. So you mentioned finding the folks. And so I brought this slide up that we've used in our work, pre-entrepreneurship levers, which was a interesting one to find in the Kauffman report. Necessity entrepreneurs, folks just trying to pay bills. Side hustle entrepreneurs, some people don't even know they're running a business. And then informal entrepreneurs, who we saw were negatively impacted during the pandemic because informal entrepreneur basically are folks that are running a legitimate business but haven't completed licensing or registration, or in some cases haven't filed income taxes, other documents that were necessary for folks to take advantage of programs that came out during the pandemic, especially the PPP program.
Yeah. And I think that is a good example of the sort of chicken and egg problem of being an entrepreneur, but being maybe in an underserved community. The things that you listed there, Rick, getting a business license and, filing your taxes adequately and all these things, the way that those would normally be done nowadays is all online, right? There's a prerequisite of having access to the internet and having the device available just to take those initial steps to be a legitimate business.
Yeah. Yeah. And having reliable internet, a great device, and that entrepreneur support is critical to all of those things. So we touched a bit on how we're finding entrepreneurs. We came into this believing that we knew some organizations in the Kansas City area that are closest to the entrepreneurs we're trying to serve. Those included, as we've shown here, Kansas City Gift, Porterhouse KC, Prospect Business Association, the Toolbox KC, which is about the only entrepreneur support organization in Wyandotte County, the Housing Authority of Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Missouri, and then Family Conservancy. And then it turns out these are the organizations we're getting most of our referrals from. And then we're trying to get beyond that. So what we've seen at the Housing Authority are folks that have had no exposure at all, in a lot of cases, to entrepreneur support organizations. The others, maybe not, I guess Family Conservancy is in a different category from Gift and Porterhouse. Prospect Business Association, these are individuals that have already identified themselves as a business owner and they've gone forward to these organizations to seek entrepreneur support. Housing Authority is kind of where we're finding those folks that didn't know they were an entrepreneur. Maybe they're an informal, maybe they're a side hustle. So that's been an interesting new market for us to explore.
Yeah.
Devices entrepreneurs are using. I haven't looked at the national data on folks in the income category that we're working with in this program, and that's 200% of federal poverty level, or 60% of median area median income. But smartphones, that's the predominant tool that the entrepreneurs we're talking to are using. 47% are using just a smartphone to run their business. I just saw that Roberto Gallardo at Purdue just published a report on smartphone usage and why people use them. His report looked at like more broadly across, all individuals or all internet users, that it was only, I think nationally it's only like maybe 12% are smartphone only. So in this income category, we're seeing that. And then we've 12% of folks going to public libraries in the Kansas City area to use the computer labs in the libraries.
I would assume that if we looked at those numbers historically, I would assume that the shift has been from public library usage to smartphone usage. Would just be my assumption. I bet if you looked 10 years ago, you'd see nearly 40% of these same people using a public library system.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting piece of data to have. But yeah, I'm sure you're correct. Before so many apps became available, a lot of the folks that we're talking to, I just talked with a woman yesterday who she's only running the business on the smartphone, but she's using TikTok, Instagram. She was using Etsy, wasn't so happy with that as a marketplace, but she did comment that Instagram has the order now feature, and she's been using that pretty successfully. So that was an interesting stat. And then, of course, the unreliable laptop or desktop. Some of the folks I've interviewed, as they're logging on, their laptop is dying. Then they join on a smartphone. So we definitely have found an audience for this project. This is a general overview of just the industries these entrepreneurs are in. Retail products and services. There's a lot of makers, people that are making apparel or making art that they're selling. A lot of custom clothing in that retail services area. Personal care, esthetician, hairstylist, and other folks in that field. Real estate, and this is including small scale developers, people that are owning 2 or 3 small houses they're trying to rehab and rent out, and then actual realtors, selling real estate. Trades contractors. We've got a general contractor, an HVAC contractor. I think we had maybe a painting contractor in there. Healthcare, a licensed mental health care practitioner was in that category. Food services, a couple of food trucks, and others that I don't believe we actually had any restaurants. One cafe, one bricks and mortar cafe, and then nonprofits. And that was an interesting category to run into here with low income entrepreneurs. I think the one we're having the most activity with is around educational services and assisting high school kids in qualifying for and seeking out scholarships, so ACT prep program. And any other observations on the industries we're seeing, Aaron?
No, I think in some ways it's a little bit what you'd expect, and then some surprises. And I suspect as we keep going and talk to more and more people, this will just grow. I don't, other than things that are truly inaccessible to people that don't have access to capital. I think these entrepreneurs are doing everything, everything that you can do. They're in every industry that is accessible
Right.
to them.
Right. Then we got the category of devices. So in the program, PCs for People is our device partner, internet service partner to some degree. Mainly laptops. People are requesting laptops. We've got three categories of laptops through PCs for People, and we're providing these entrepreneurs with the best category we have. They're late model refurbished. They all come with Windows 10. They come with a 1-year service warranty through PCs for People locally here in Kansas City. Tom Esselman is our partner there. Tom can't join us on today's call, but and Megan Lamb is helping us close the loop with the entrepreneurs after they're onboarded. She makes sure they get the devices, makes an appointment for them. Laptops and second monitors are popular. This photo is one of our clients. We provided with 2 laptops. So this, when I saw this and just my experience at the Kansas City, Missouri, when we went to a remote work program, this is a better setup than most of the city employees we were working with had
I
home.
believe
So
that. Yep.
yeah, so we're able to provide folks with really all the tools that they would need. And this brings up the topic really of digital dignity. In some of the conversations with our clients, they're talking about how they are using the smartphone. We had one entrepreneur who got a remote work job, and the company sent a laptop that was strictly for the remote work employment. And then she's running her business from the smartphone. And she made the comment that her kids really gave her like more respect and privacy when she was on the laptop, because they figured they were deciding mommy was at work. And when they saw her on her phone, I think like a lot of us think is like, mommy's just up in her phone and not paying attention to us, but she's actually, running her business. And so when this happened, this, gave this entrepreneur that opportunity to be running the business from the best equipment that we could give them to run the business. And then we're also giving desktops. Desktops are least requested. People, of course, like the portability of a desktop. I think myself, I haven't had a desktop at home in probably 15 years, I think. How about you? You probably have a desktop at home, don't you?
I do, of course, have a desktop, but I think to some extent that's just a holdover of like, I'm a computer science nerd from back when desktops were the way to go. And the reality is that I think again, outside of sort of niche cases, laptops can do pretty much everything that anybody needs to do anymore. All of your word processing, all the sort of like tasks that you think about you're doing on a computer or moving to the cloud. So the capability of the device is becoming less and less important. If you have like in this photograph here, you've got a separate external keyboard, mouse, and then you've got the external monitor. It's few and far between the cases where a desktop would be needed anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I myself worked with a laptop for years, and then my son brought me a second monitor, and it really has been a game changer. So I wasn't expecting that, but it is nice to have. And then we're also asking entrepreneurs what type of home internet services they have, wireless services, and then asking them whether they're aware of the FCC's Affordable Connectivity Program. So a $30 a month subsidy for internet services for households making less than 200% of federal poverty level, the same requirements we have for access to LIDO. And really what I'm finding is 65% of the folks we're interviewing are saying, no, they haven't heard of it. And then as far as assisting them in signing up. And if the folks from National Digital Inclusion Alliance and others are familiar with the digital navigator programs, there's a lot of work going into outreach to help people sign up for affordable connectivity program benefits. Oh, so there's that Wednesday test everybody was supposed to
Yeah,
get.
yeah. My phone just startled me as well.
There we go. That's the digital world.
Yeah, yeah.
And okay. So the way I've been assisting them on the digital navigator front is typically the majority that we're talking to do have some type of home internet service they're paying for. Those that, of course, aren't going to the library for their services or aren't strictly wireless plan, but I'm simply emailing them a link to the Affordable Connectivity Program for whoever their internet service provider might be. So if it's AT&T, Google Fiber, Spectrum, the wireless carriers, T-Mobile, they all have an ACP sign-up page. It cuts out a lot of steps for them to go through rather than referring them broadly to the FCC's site where they have really a lot more work to do. So that's been going pretty well. So those are the slides that I have. We could share more, I guess, about maybe next steps of the program or any observations on the benefits of closing the digital divide for these entrepreneurs.
Well, I think that last slide of just awareness, right? There's lots of resources that are available to people, but the resources are online resources, right? Like you're sending them a link to sign up for the subsidized internet service. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of awareness, and a lot of people are just continually falling behind. If you're not in the digital world, you're not maybe digitally literate, tech literate, at large, then you're just increasingly falling behind. You can't apply for a job anymore without a decent amount of tech literacy, right? It's not just applying for a job is not about having access to internet and a laptop. It actually takes quite a bit of digital literacy to do that. And similarly, helping entrepreneurs hire people, a lot of that is probably tied up in digital literacy and those entrepreneurs' comfort with accepting online applications and doing Zoom interviews. And this is just the beginning of both our journey and kind of like the world's journey, right? Like we're only going to be increasingly more reliant on these technologies in the coming years.
Yeah. Now, there might also be questions that some of our viewers might have about digital literacy training programs and that kind of service. What I've seen with the entrepreneurs we're talking to is they are pretty tech savvy. To be able to run a business from a smartphone, they're finding a lot of tools that are out there, a lot of payment platforms, mobile apps that are designed for maybe the specific industry that they're in. So there have been just a few that we've had to refer to, like Casey Digital Drive has digital literacy courses that Carol Myers is the instructor. She was formerly with PCs for People, and they made some changes there on how those services were provided. I also bring up the point on that we should talk about it, I guess, is the challenges we're having with some of our entrepreneurs being able to demonstrate their eligibility. And and again, since the majority of social service programs require you to file some kind of an application online or use some online tools, there's a lot of folks we've talked with that are unable to show that, say, they're a beneficiary of SNAP or that they're just programs that are available to them that they're not aware of. So there's some other, planning we might do to help more of those social services become available to entrepreneurs. One of the simplest solutions is to ask them to file a tax return. The IRS has a free site where you can file a tax return. In the income category we're looking at, they typically don't need to file a tax return, but that is evidence enough at PCs for People to go along with the services. And then, of course, we're also finding just hesitancy based on lack of trust in government organizations or lack of trust in something that's called a free program to share more of this kind of personal information with folks. So we're trying to build that trust through the entrepreneur support organizations or other community organizations that we're getting referrals from.
Yeah, I think that's the key to our approach, is connections, and not just being a repository of information or just being like a Rolodex, but actually working directly with the people that are more proximal to the population that we're trying to serve, and building trust that way, working with them to figure out what serves those support organizations, what serves their needs, what helps them accomplish their tasks, what helps them do the things that they need to do. We're trying to just facilitate all of those connections and do as much good as we can.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think we can probably wrap it up here. I guess of course we should give a shout out to the Kauffman Foundation and the Heartland Challenge Grant program. We're in a 2-year program.
Yeah.
2-year program, and I don't know if I announced this at the beginning, but this is a partnership of PCs for People, Nowhere Consultants, and the Usher Garage to help develop this program to bring digital equity into entrepreneurs and small business owners. So thanks for joining us today. And do you have any closing remarks?
No, just thank everybody for their participation.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.